Okay, we're going to make a video, and this video will demonstrate logging into a workstation on the ECE HPC Linux platform with x2go after either getting a new ID or logging in right after getting a password reset. The primary difference between what I would call a regular login challenge and the login challenge you will receive the first time you log in with a new ID or after a password reset is that you will be forced to change your password when you log in. Let's get started and demonstrate this. Okay, here we have a Windows 10 machine, and on the Windows 10 machine we have installed the x2go client software. You can see the icon right here. If I click on the little start flag, you can see that you can start x2go from the start menus. Here's the x2go client for Windows, and there's the x2go client that you would run to perform the tasks. Again, notice that I am running right here. I am running VPN because I'm running this from off campus. I'm running this for this demonstration purposes. I'm running this on a DSL line that is 6 down and 1 up, so it is a slow DSL line. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to click the x2go client icon right here, and you'll notice I have a machine already defined for another Linux network. We're going to define one for the ECE HPC platform. So we're going to click on session, and it's going to be new session. And this is the new session box. At the top here where it says session name, we're going to type in something meaningful so we remember where this box will take us when we click on it. So the machine name that we're going to go into will be ECE HPC 01, and down here for the hosts it will be ECE HPC 01.cc.lehigh.edu, and the login name, I'm going to use my login name. It'll be DPM3, and we'll pretend my login's a new ID or it had its password reset. It actually had its password reset, but anyways, you'll notice my login name's only 4 characters. Yours will probably be 6. I'm an old timer, so I have one of the older login ID formats there. So then next thing is down here where we see the desktop, it defaults to KDE. We want to be sure to come down here and switch it to mate, and that works a little bit better with the x2go. Now this dialog box unfortunately is a little bit too big, or my virtual machine is a little bit too small, so I need to scrunch the dialog box down a little bit so I can see that OK button, and I'll click OK, and now you see the box appears over here with the ECE HPC 01 that we typed up there at the very top, and it has all the other information. That's super. So we're going to click on the black bold text that says ECE HPC 01, and it gives us our login ID and password challenge box. So I'm going to go ahead and type that password. That's a new password because it was reset. And okay, first time I log into a machine, it wants to exchange a public key. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes for that. The reason I'm hitting yes is because that public key will compare with a private key, and it will encrypt, and it will also authenticate that it's connecting to the right machine in the future. Now it says password expired, need to change your password. So what I need to do is type the same password that I typed just a moment ago, the password that I was sent with my new ID or my reset password. So I'm going to type that password again. Now it wants a new password. Now I have to put in a different password, change my password. Now it wants me to retype the password, so make sure I know what I typed. And okay, so I retyped my password. Let's see if it connects. And it can take a second to connect here. So it looks like it's starting. And this is a good sign. Okay, so what it did was it brought up the Mate desktop on the server. So this is actually a Linux desktop you're seeing right here. And one of the cool things you can do is if you want a little bit more real estate for your Linux desktop, you can come down here. There where I'm trying to get that diagonal arrow. But you can pull this and stretch this desktop, give yourself a little bit more real estate. Now what we want to do is we want to run a terminal. I've already got some terminals saved in my ID, but if you click Applications and you come down here to System Tools, you can have a couple of terminals you can run. You have the Mate terminal, you have the XFCE terminal. This thing that just says terminal, that's the GNOME terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the GNOME terminal because that's kind of my favorite. The other thing you can do when let me just show you this real quick. When you come down here and you come down here to the terminal, at whichever terminal you want, you can try the different terminals and see which one you like. But if you do a right click on that, terminal, you can then add that to your desktop, so or to your panel up there at the top. And that way you don't have to go through that path of applications, systems, tools, and then choosing the terminal. Okay. One thing to note, if you hold down the control key and hit the minus key, it makes the terminal smaller. If you hold down the control key and hit the shift key, like plus, 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 I like big text here. So you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to run one or two commands. As I mentioned, I'm on a slow DSL line. I think I mentioned that. You'll notice that here I have Cisco VPN running. I'm running this from home, and I'm running it on a DSL line that is 6 down and 1 up. So it's a slow DSL line. And so if I go ahead and this is gedit is kind of like Notepad in Microsoft, but it's a Linux program. So I'm going to run this on the server, ECE HPC 01, and it should send me back a graphical screen. And you notice that ampersand I put there. I'll explain that in a second. So okay, I went ahead and I ran this Notepad, and it does bring back the graphical screen. Now you'll notice I put the ampersand there. I'm going to run this without the ampersand. And watch what happens. I won't be able to get a $sign prompt back here. Okay, so I ran it without the ampersand. And if I come back over here and bring up the terminal and I hit the enter key, it's kind of, that program's kind of locked up the terminal. Notice I did not put the ampersand there. Okay, so now if I come back in here and I close this gedit program, those enters, now they appear. But if I type gedit and I put the ampersand in there, there I have my my little gedit program came back, and I can bring up the terminal again. My $sign came back, so I can run another program. Let me see, GNOME system monitor. This is kind of an interesting program, and I'll put an ampersand there again so I get my $sign back again. And if you put the ampersand there, you can run a bunch of programs from the same terminal. So here it shows you the GNOME system monitor, shows you the various cores, how much activity is on them. network history. It can show you some other things too that can be of interest. So anyways, so that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and close these programs out, and I'll come over here and close the gedit program out. Okay, so I've closed all those programs out, and then I hit enter and it tells me everything's done. So here I can type exit. That will shut down the terminal. Now, one of the things that you'll want to do when you're done is you'll want to log off the x2go session. It's always a good idea to log off when you're done, because sometimes things can get a little bit out of whack, and if it does, give me a call, and I can probably get things cleared up and get you back in. And so anyway, so if we go ahead and hit system here at the top, we can go ahead and log out. Now you can either hit shutdown or log out. You're not going to shut the machine down, but I'll just go ahead and hit log out here, and it basically says, do you want to log out of the system? I can hit this, and I don't have to wait the 60 seconds. And we're back at the x2go client program, just like before we logged into the machine. Here I can hit cancel, and it will put that little thing over here in the column to the right. Now I didn't actually have to put that back in the column to the right. I could just go ahead and quit, once I've gotten back to my client software. Okay, so that's pretty much what it takes to log into the x2go client, and then this also gives you a view of what will happen when you log in for the first time with a new ID, or after your password has been reset. You're going to get that challenge that comes up and then tells you to change your password. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, and thank you for listening.